Hey everyone! So I've been wanting to make a video for some time now about shoes that I've been using, and I waited till now because my latest pair of shoes just came in a couple weeks ago and I've had a chance to test them out. And I thought this would be the perfect time because it's kind of stopped raining, there's still a little bit of daylight, and I'm also expecting a package today, so someone might come in through the door in a little bit, but this is some time to just go over. So I've been using the same pair of shoes for years now, up until this year, because I've had the chance to be gifted a few pairs, and I've also won a couple pairs, so I've had a chance to try out more than just what I've been using. This shoe I've had for the longest time. I've had this one for about 10 years. They don't make them anymore, which is why I've been really careful about not wearing it out. It's the Nike Bionic, and I'm a size 7.5. They don't carry anything similar to this, and I've been searching for years for some kind of replacement. I really like these because I can feel the ground really well in them. And I started off deadlifting in shoes like this, and I have 3 pairs, different colors, excuse me, of the same model. I bought multiple pairs when they came out, and I actually had a 4th pair, but it got stolen from me while I was at the gym. My first pair of these, it was purple and green, and I loved them, but someone stole them while I was on the Stairmaster. I don't know, I have no idea where they went, but I found that if you Google why people steal shoes, especially women's shoes, it's not great. So I was really sad about that, but I still have 3 pairs of these, and they're really beat up, but I love them. They're great for walking around in the gym. They're good for accessories. I like doing standing accessories with them, like if you're doing lateral raises, bicep curls, tricep press downs. These are just my comfy accessory shoes at this point, but I have competed in them multiple times. So this was gifted to me from a friend. We're the exact same shoe size. So these are Sabos. They are, let's see, size 37 for me. So if you are a size 7.5 female, this is a 37, and it is probably a little bit under $100. So I don't think they're that pricey for what you get because they are really well built. These, you can feel the ground really well, but because they have this added kind of like ankle anti-wobble protection, you do feel more sturdy, especially if you're sumoing. It's less of a issue with conventional deadlifts, but if you're sumoing, these do feel more secure. So these are currently my favorite deadlift shoes. I've competed in these one time. I really like them. The thing about this is I wouldn't have picked this color because it doesn't go with anything that I own, but they do really stand out, and so it's easy to spot in a black gym bag. Like, oh yeah, I remember to grab those on my way out. Like if you're just checking to make sure you have all your stuff, because I definitely bring different shoes to the gym depending on what I'm lifting that day. So these say deadlift on them. Before being gifted these, I really didn't know about this company, but I do really like them. They're great for deadlifting, really stable. I feel a great difference when using these, because I would say with the kind of like when you start to squat, do your warm-up sets and put a belt on and you feel a difference in your bracing, these kind of make me feel a difference in how well I'm feeling the ground and how stable and secure I feel in that position. So I am really grateful for these. Also, none of these shoes, like no companies, like I have no affiliations with any of these companies. It's just like I finally had a chance to try multiple shoes, and I'm just excited to share. And this was just a present from my friend who I think had extra pairs or didn't really want this color, I'm not sure, but really grateful. I really like these, and I wouldn't have known about them otherwise. So I won a couple shoes from my last powerlifting meet, and these are Notorious 2.5 Sumo, I believe. Sumo, I'm not that familiar with Notorious shoes just because I've never used them before, because I've always been using these. So 37 is the size that I got. 38 is a little bit loose. I've noticed that when I walk around in the 38s, my heel comes out of the bottom. So 37, excuse me, is more secure. And I do feel like lifting shoes are not meant for walking, so don't test them out like you are testing out like a walking or running shoe. Like, walking around in them doesn't give you a good feel for what you are going for, because you're really just going to be, if you're squatting, you're just walking out the bar. If you're benching, your feet kind of stay still, hopefully. If you're deadlifting, your feet also kind of hopefully stay still. So it's not about comfort. Like, I wouldn't try lifting shoes on for comfortability in walking. It's more like how great they serve their purpose for the lift that you're using them for. And it's very common for people to have different shoes for different lifts or different training days even. So I haven't had a chance to use these that much because I just simply like my Sabos for deadlifts. And that's the only lift that I currently use a flat soled shoe for. So I would say that these are just, the fit is a little bit off for me. Like 38 is just kind of too loose, and I've been told that these get looser as you wear them more. So I think sizing down tends to be what most people do, but I think different generations of their shoes they might stretch out differently, because I think the material's a little bit different. But these kind of remind me of water shoes, and yeah, I think people like to get these in different colors and styles and stuff, but I'm more of someone who likes going with the designated, like, this is my X activity shoe, rather than like, oh, I want the whatever color that day. So, and I was also gifted a pair of these 100 shoes. So the sizing is a little bit different with these, even though they seem kind of similar in design to the Notorious lifts. These ones, I am a 36, and I read online that they tend to have a wider toe box. They do have a wider toe box. They do feel a little bit looser overall. The length seems pretty similar between the 36 and the 37, and both of these come with a sole that you can remove. So if you want a more like to the ground feel, like if you want to be able to feel the ground even more, or have like a flatter sole feel, you can remove the insoles for both of these, or if the fits are a little bit snug for you. So that's something that's kind of cool, although in my other shoes I've never messed with removing the soles. For these, I have used at home for benching, just to try it out, because I think they do have a little bit more of an elevated feel compared to my Sabos, so I don't really feel like using them for deadlifts, and they lack the ankle support here. So if you feel a little wobbly, I'd still go with something that has more structure around the heels. So yeah, and they're very light. So that's the other thing, is these are very light, and they'd be good for traveling if you're looking for just something that serves multiple purposes and doesn't occupy that much space, because this one is definitely less space efficient, and it is a little bit heavier. And the other thing is, with powerlifters being really tired, the added ankle part does make it kind of tiring to remove your shoe at the end of a session, because you kind of have to like scoop your foot out of it. So there's that. So the thing that I'm most excited to talk about today is actually my squat shoes, because I use them for bench as well. And these are the Adidas Powerlift. Let's see, I have size US 6, which is about 7.5 women. These tend to be unisex sizing. This is also gifted to me. Before that, I had been using my purple shoes, which are, oh, right here. Okay. I've been using my purple shoes in the exact same size. These have like the same pattern for the bottom as far as like the grippy parts. I did really like these. They don't have a very aggressive heel, so I think it's really great for someone who is starting out, because it's not, I think it's kind of like a good in-between for the height, for the heel, and it's not a very huge investment too. Because especially for me, I bench and I squat in heeled shoes, and I do feel like these are pretty budget friendly. They do last a long time. The front of one of mine did start to separate, like it made a little tongue, like a flap, and I did glue it back together because I really liked these, and I had tried the newer models of the Powerlifts, but they felt a little different. I didn't quite like the upper material as much either, and the inside did feel a little different, so I tried to make these last as long as I could. And yeah, I would really recommend these for beginners or just someone who wants to try out a lifted shoe that isn't too aggressive. I've used this one for competition most recently, and I did notice it slipped a little bit while benching, because I was benching on a competition rack and it was on a carpet, and I think as I was trying to like root my feet in the ground, I did notice my foot slip forward a little bit, so my arch kind of flattened out a little bit. But that kind of depends on the carpet that the meet is being held at and stuff. Like, I don't think slippery carpets is the norm, so I think it's kind of like a try your luck. But that's what made me think about trying another shoe is this one. So this is my most recent shoe. I got it in white because the options on the Nike website were white or black. And I had been trying to get these for a long time because I wanted to try something that was a slightly more elevated heel. And also one time I went to a meet with just one shoe on, like I only brought one side. So I had to emergency borrow a pair of my friends, and it was an earlier model of the Romaleo. And that's when I realized that they were really comfy. They're a little bit more pricey. Regular, it's like 200 bucks. So that is definitely, it's like double the Adi Powers or the Powerlifts for the Adidas line. The heel is definitely a little bit higher. I've noticed that these are my perfect sizing, like 7.5 for women, but when I'm walking around the gym, like just in between sets, just trying to rest or just hang out with people, I do feel like I'm wearing high heels. Like it's the same feeling of pressure in the toe area that you would get as if you were wearing like a wedge. For girls who know what wearing high heels feels like, I'm not a fan of high heels, so I do notice that these significantly feel like you're being pushed forward more. So these have more Velcro, so it's like a little bit more tied down through the middle than these. I don't feel like these are too narrow. I think I was a little worried because I tend to have wide, flat feet about how this would fit. Lengthwise, I am like the same size for both of these, and I wanted to make this video mainly because of the sizing, because I couldn't really find much information online regarding what size to order, and because you can't really get either of these in store. Like, I think it's such a small amount of units that they move that they don't really keep these in the store. You have to order them online. Most of these sites have like free shipping, I think, because the items are pricey enough, and I'm sure the stores want you to have like the right fit, but they usually have free returns as well. But it's just kind of a hassle to like have to go back and forth and like try different sizes, and like what if none of the sizes fit you? So like even the in-between sizes don't fit. So I just wanted to get the word out there. Like, I'm a really standard women's shoe size. I'm usually 7.5. Pretty much, like sometimes maybe a 7, but most of the time I'm like 7.5, which I think is like the most average woman foot size. So I thought it'd be helpful. because another thing is they don't really restock these shoes very often. And when they do, the smaller sizes sell out super fast. I don't know if it's because there's more men lifting and so they tend to stock up on the like bigger sizes, or if it's because the women buy them all up really fast, because the smaller sizes sell out real quick. And you can get these on third-party websites, but I had been trying to get rid of a Nike gift card that I was gifted like 5 years ago. So I was just like determined to order it from the Nike site. So I would say the white does get dirty easily, so that kind of sucks. And but I do like the look of this. And at the time when I ordered it, they only had my size left in white, so I didn't have to decide. I do think the black probably holds up better in the long run. Just like it'll still look not as, you know, I think with this I just noticed like when I slip my feet out of the shoe, I can see the threads start to fray. And I've only had these for like 2 weeks, so I think it will look worn out faster, but I do think that these are probably going to be built to last. And I've had most of my lifting shoes for a really long time. And I don't walk around in these, you know, I try not to beat them up, you know, when I'm not like lifting in them. I generally keep them like unflattened, you know, somewhere airing out, because these don't tend to breathe that well. But I did notice with the higher heel, I feel like a little bit more confident sitting my hips down. So with the squat, it's kind of like your hips, you're bending at your hips, you're bending at your knees. I do notice that with these, I tend to be more confident like sitting down into the squat rather than kind of coming forward and being tipped forward a little bit more. That tended to happen more with the lower heel Adi Power shoes. So I do think that these made a huge difference for me. Like I could feel it right away the first day. The support through the middle feels pretty good. They're a little bit snug in the middle part, which is great because of my wide feet. I'm like wide up here, not wide here. So I would definitely recommend these, and I'm really excited to try these out for my next meet. I am about 8 weeks out from my next meet, and it'll be a little different. I haven't really prepped for a meet through the holidays in the winter like ever, but since Nationals is September, I wanted to do a meet kind of halfway between my last meet in August and September next year. And so February kind of lined up perfectly, and I'm not traveling this year, so it's like, oh, it's nice to be able to like put my time towards something like meet prep and not feel the FOMO of not being able to travel, because I've been really wanting to go to Asia. I have family in Taiwan, and I've really wanted to revisit Japan because ever since I've been there, like I think the last time I went was maybe, it was over a decade ago, I think. And at that time I didn't know of all the cool things in Japan that now I'm interested in, like animal cafes, Sailor Moon museums. So I just like really want to go back and get to experience that as an adult now. But unfortunately, you know, I've just been really busy with work, and now that I have this meet, I'm like, oh, you know, I can focus on this, and then maybe I'll get a chance to travel later. But anyways, thanks for watching my video. If you have any questions regarding sizing or fit, leave them in the comments below. I really hope this helps as far as sizing goes for my ladies out there who are like the same shoe size as me. Again, I'm like 7.5 women's, fairly wide, fairly flat feet. So if this helps anyone, I feel like this is worth it. Wow, so no signature needed. So I've been waiting for this package, which is why I've been home today, and my voice is phlegmy because I hadn't had to talk all day. But it is my new MacBook, and I have been using the same MacBook since 2012. They last a long time, but it was really getting slow, and I've been using it for like all my videos and just everything, and so I thought it was time to upgrade, and yeah, so this is cool. Didn't realize that they would just leave it at the door though, which is kind of sus, but okay. And I dropped it. Okay.